We believe we live in a free society. We make choices every day, from the coffee we drink to the clothes we wear. Our money, we assume, is no different. We earn it, we spend it, the choices are ours. But this freedom is an illusion, a carefully constructed facade. Behind the scenes, a hidden law dictates the very nature of our money, controlling how we transact, save, and build wealth. This hidden law is called legal tender, and it's time to break its chains. Legal tender laws are the invisible chains that bind our monetary system. They dictate what we must accept as payment, effectively eliminating our freedom to choose. Can't pay your taxes in gold? Thank legal tender laws. Business refusing your stack of silver coins? Legal tender laws again. These laws, often enacted during times of crisis and uncertainty, have woven themselves into the fabric of our society, becoming so commonplace that we rarely question their existence. But the implications of legal tender extend far beyond everyday transactions. These laws have empowered governments and central banks to manipulate currencies, devaluing our savings and eroding our purchasing power. They've created a system where inflation is the norm, and financial instability is a constant threat. It's a system designed to keep us trapped, dependent on a monetary system that we cannot control. The term legal tender might sound like something out of a dusty law textbook, but its implications are anything but archaic. In simple terms, it's the government's way of saying this is money and you will accept it. It's a decree that forces everyone within a country to use a specific currency for all debts, public and private. Think you can pay your rent in Bitcoin, barter with gold coins, or settle a debt with your prize-winning pumpkin pie? Think again. Legal tender laws make it clear. The government-issued currency reigns supreme. We're brought up to believe that money is a tool, a means of exchange that facilitates trade and allows us to build wealth. But legal tender laws transform money from a tool into a weapon, one that can be wielded against us. When we're forced to use a particular currency, our ability to choose how we save, invest, and protect our wealth is severely limited. We become vulnerable to the whims of central banks and the often unpredictable nature of government-controlled monetary policies. Think about it. When the government prints more money, the value of the currency in your pocket decreases. This inflation tax is a silent thief, eroding your purchasing power and making it harder to get ahead. Legal tender laws ensure you have no escape from this devaluation. You're trapped in a system where your hard-earned money can lose value overnight, not because of market forces, but because of policy decisions made by others. Section 3. From paper chains to digital shackles, the evolution of legal tender. While legal tender laws have been around for centuries, their implementation and impact are constantly evolving. What started with physical currencies like paper money and coins has taken a dramatic turn in the digital age. Governments are now leveraging technology to further tighten their grip on our financial lives, using digital currencies and online payment systems to monitor, track, and even control our spending habits. Imagine a world where your government-issued digital currency comes with an expiration date, forcing you to spend it within a certain time frame. Or a scenario where your online transactions are constantly analyzed, your spending habits categorized and potentially used against you. This is not the stuff of dystopian fiction, it's the potential reality of legal tender in the digital age. As we move towards a cashless society, the risks posed by legal tender laws become even more pronounced. Without physical cash as an alternative, we're entirely at the mercy of digital payment systems and the governments that control them. Our ability to transact anonymously, protect our privacy, and maintain financial sovereignty is further eroded, paving the way for unprecedented levels of financial control and manipulation. Section 1. Crisis and Control: How Emergencies Forged the Legal Tender Chains. History offers a chilling lesson in how quickly freedom can be eroded during times of crisis. Time and again, governments have exploited moments of fear and uncertainty to expand their power, and legal tender laws are a prime example of this phenomenon. Whether it's a war, a depression, or a pandemic, the playbook remains the same. Declare an emergency, present legal tender as the solution, and watch as people surrender their financial freedom in exchange for a false sense of security. Take the American Civil War, a period of immense national division and economic turmoil. As the conflict dragged on, the Union government, desperate for funds, resorted to printing paper money known as greenbacks. To ensure the acceptance of this new currency, legal tender laws were enacted, forcing citizens to accept the greenbacks at face value, even as inflation eroded their purchasing power. Those who dared to challenge the system faced fines, imprisonment, or worse. Section 2. The Rise of Fiat, when money lost its anchor. To truly understand the insidious nature of legal tender laws, we need to go back to the fundamentals of money itself. For centuries, gold and silver, valued for their scarcity, durability, and inherent worth, served as the foundation of monetary systems worldwide. These precious metals provided a stable anchor for currencies, preventing governments from simply printing their way out of debt. However, the allure of control proved too tempting for governments to resist. The 20th century witnessed a systematic dismantling of the gold standard, with legal tender laws playing a central role in this monetary coup. By severing the link between currencies and precious metals, governments ushered in the era of fiat money, currency backed not by tangible assets, but by the full faith and credit of the issuing government. The 20th century wasn't just about the rise of fiat currencies, it was also about the consolidation of monetary power. In the United States, the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913 marked a turning point. While touted as a way to stabilize the banking system, the Fed, a private entity with considerable influence over monetary policy, further centralized control over the nation's money supply. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 solidified the legal tender status of the US dollar, making it the only currency recognized for settling debts within the country. This move, coupled with the subsequent elimination of the gold standard, effectively handed the Fed the keys to the kingdom, allowing it to manipulate interest rates, expand the money supply, and influence the direction of the economy. The legal tender trap extends far beyond national borders. As the US dollar solidified its position as the world's reserve currency, it also exported the concept of legal tender to every corner of the globe. International organizations like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank, often dominated by Western interests, played a key role in promoting legal tender laws and fiat currencies in developing nations. Under the guise of promoting economic development and stability, these institutions encouraged and in some cases coerced countries into adopting legal tender laws that favored the use of the US dollar or other major currencies. This created a system of financial dependency where developing nations became beholden to the monetary policies of powerful Western nations. The transition from physical cash to digital transactions might seem like a natural progression in a technologically advanced world, but it has also ushered in a new era of surveillance and control. Remember the days of paying for groceries with cash, your privacy intact, your financial decisions your own? Those days are fading fast, replaced by a system where every swipe of a card, every online purchase, every digital transfer leaves a traceable footprint, ripe for analysis and exploitation. Legal tender laws, once primarily concerned with physical currencies, have seamlessly adapted to the digital realm. Governments and central banks, eager to maintain their grip on the monetary system, are increasingly leveraging technology to monitor, track, and control the flow of digital money. Every transaction can be scrutinized, every pattern analyzed, every anomaly flagged, all in the name of security and financial stability. Cash, for all its perceived flaws, has one redeeming quality that digital transactions lack: anonymity. When you pay with cash, you break the digital chain, leaving no trace of your transaction, no data points to be analyzed, no record for authorities to scrutinize. It's a tangible symbol of financial freedom, a way to engage in commerce without the prying eyes of governments and corporations. Yet, despite its enduring appeal, cash is increasingly being demonized and marginalized. Governments and central banks, often citing concerns about tax evasion, money laundering, and terrorism, are implementing policies designed to discourage the use of cash and push us towards a cashless society. We're told that cash is dirty, inconvenient, and outdated, but the real threat it poses is to those who seek to control our every financial move. Taxes are the lifeblood of any government, but legal tender laws transform this necessary function into a tool for financial oppression. By mandating that taxes be paid in government-issued currency, legal tender laws create a captive market for fiat money, regardless of its actual value or purchasing power. We're forced to play a rigged game where the rules are constantly changing, and the house always wins. Consider the insidious cycle of inflation. When governments print more money to fund their spending habits, the value of the currency in our pockets decreases. This hidden tax, known as inflation, erodes our purchasing power, making it harder to afford basic necessities and save for the future. Legal tender laws ensure that we have no escape from this devaluation. As if the existing system of legal tender wasn't concerning enough, we now face a new threat to our financial freedom: central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. Imagine a world where your government not only dictates what you can use as money, but also controls every aspect of your financial life, tracking every transaction, monitoring every purchase, and even restricting your spending based on your perceived behavior or political affiliations. This is the dystopian future that CBDCs could unleash. Unlike decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, which operate independently of governments and central banks, CBDCs would give unprecedented power to those who control the monetary system. Every transaction could be tracked, every account monitored, and every citizen subject to the whims of unelected bureaucrats and their ever-changing rules. The seeds of rebellion: state-level challenges to legal tender laws. For decades, the legal tender trap seemed inescapable. Governments, with their monopoly on money creation and their arsenal of laws and regulations, held all the cards. But the ground is shifting. Across the United States, a growing movement is challenging the very foundation of legal tender, with state legislatures taking bold steps to reclaim their monetary sovereignty and offer citizens alternative paths to financial freedom. These state-level rebellions are not merely symbolic gestures. They represent a fundamental rejection of the fiat money system and a return to sound money principles. States like Texas, Wyoming, and Arizona have enacted laws recognizing gold and silver as legal tender, allowing citizens to transact in these precious metals without incurring capital gains taxes. Section 2. The Crypto Exodus: Escaping the Fiat Plantation. While state-level challenges to legal tender laws chip away at the edges of the fiat money system, a technological revolution is underway, one that has the potential to fundamentally reshape the global financial landscape. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum are decentralized digital currencies that operate independently of governments and central banks. They represent a radical departure from the centralized control of fiat currencies, offering a glimpse into a future where financial freedom is not a privilege, but a right. The beauty of cryptocurrencies lies in their decentralized nature. Transactions are recorded on a public ledger, known as a blockchain, maintained by a distributed network of computers, rather than a central authority. This makes cryptocurrencies resistant to censorship, manipulation, and the inflationary pressures that plague fiat currencies. They empower individuals to take control of their finances, transact directly with one another, and escape the confines of the traditional financial system. Section 3. Building parallel economies: barter, local exchange, and the power of community. While cryptocurrencies offer a technological solution to the legal tender trap, a more grounded movement is taking root, one that emphasizes community, resilience, and a return to the fundamentals of human exchange: barter and local exchange trading systems, or LETs. These alternative economies operating outside the traditional financial system offer a way to bypass legal tender laws, build community resilience, and foster a more equitable and sustainable way of life. Barter, the direct exchange of goods and services without the use of money, has existed for millennia, predating the concept of legal tender by centuries. In an era of economic uncertainty and financial instability, barter is experiencing a resurgence, offering a way to meet basic needs, share skills and resources, and build community connections outside the confines of the traditional marketplace. Let's take the concept of barter a step further, creating formalized systems for local exchange using a community-based currency. These currencies, often backed by time, skills, or goods, operate independently of legal tender laws, allowing members to trade goods and services within their communities without relying on government-issued money. These parallel economies, while often small in scale, represent a powerful form of resistance to the legal tender trap. Section 1. The time to act is now. We've journeyed deep into the belly of the beast, exposing the hidden mechanisms of the legal tender trap. We've seen how this seemingly innocuous law has been used to erode our financial freedom, devalue our savings, and concentrate power in the hands of the few. But awareness without action is meaningless. The time to reclaim our financial sovereignty is now. The good news is, we're not powerless. There are cracks in the facade of the system, and those cracks are widening. From the halls of state legislatures to the decentralized networks of the cryptosphere, a global movement is building, one that rejects the tyranny of fiat currencies and embraces a future of sound money and individual empowerment. This is not just about protecting our wealth, it's about reclaiming our freedom. It's about breaking the chains of a system that benefits the few at the expense of the many. It's about building a future where our money serves us, not the other way around. The first step is education. Share this information with your friends, family, and community. The more people understand the insidious nature of legal tender laws, the stronger our collective resolve will be. Knowledge is power, and in the realm of finance, that knowledge has the power to set us free. Section 2. Breaking Free. A vision of a decentralized future. Imagine a world where money is no longer a tool of control, but a facilitator of freedom. A world where individuals have the power to choose how they save, invest, and transact, free from the manipulation of central banks and the inflationary pressures of fiat currencies. This is the promise of a decentralized future, a future where we break free from the legal tender trap and reclaim our financial sovereignty. This future is not some utopian dream, it's within our grasp. The tools are already at our disposal. State-level initiatives are chipping away at the edges of federal control, offering glimmers of hope for a return to sound money principles. Cryptocurrencies are providing an escape hatch from the fiat plantation, empowering individuals to transact freely and securely outside the confines of the traditional financial system. And local exchange trading systems are fostering community resilience, reminding us of the power of human connection and collaboration in an increasingly atomized world. The path forward is clear. We must educate ourselves and our communities about the dangers of legal tender laws and the promise of alternative systems. We must support businesses and organizations that operate outside the traditional financial system. And we must demand change from our elected officials, pushing for policies that promote sound money, financial freedom, and individual empowerment. The legal tender trap might seem insurmountable, but it's important to remember that systems of control only persist as long as we consent to them. By choosing alternative paths, by embracing innovation, and by working together, we can break free from the shackles of legal tender and create a more just and equitable financial future for ourselves and generations to come.